Hello and welcome to episode 81 of PauseCast. It is May the 4th, 2018. I am Jessica Alouette, and I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Mark Hanna, I use he, him. Welcome.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, and with you.
It's Star Wars Day. We're here to talk about all our favorite Star Wars video games.
This is a Star Wars podcast. Oh,
hang on. Pod racing.
Shit, yeah, I was going to say, it's Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, or whatever it's called.
Which just came out on GOG, by the way.
Oh shit, really?
I didn't know if you didn't know. This is a breaking
Holy
news
shit,
minute.
it did. It's right up on their big featured thing.
Yeah, so if you were a fan of Star Wars Episode 1 Racer as a child, a version of that game that works on modern PCs has been released on GOG.
It was so good.
It's $12 Australian dollars.
Why is it
It's the
Australian
number
dollars?
one best-selling game on GOG right now.
Holy shit, that
it's
looks so
Australian dollars,
familiar.
it's like, pardon?
Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but it looks so familiar.
Yeah, it's exactly the same visuals you remember, but like now you can run it on a widescreen screen and it works on modern operating systems.
Those textures are so low resolution.
They're very low res. They had to run this had to run on a Nintendo 64 at one point.
I mean, the other thing is you're going very fast, so the screenshots, do you notice it? When you're actually... Oh shit, I remember these... Oh wow, yeah, okay, sorry. I'm looking through the screenshots and I'm like, I remember that cloud track. That one was hard, I kept falling off and dying.
Yeah, it does for what it's worth. Like, I think I know what you're about to say. It's like, oh, it looks like it's got like motion blur on the track, which it super kind of
does. Right, it does up
like,
close, but it's not.
Yeah, it's like faked by having basically no anisotropic filtering and all that stuff. But yeah, functioning version of this video game is out just in time for Star Wars Day.
Oh, it's such a good game. I'm definitely going to have to pick that up. The volcano one. Oh, wow.
I've got to get you to pick up Redout at some point because it's like this, but with like modernized design sensibilities.
Redout?
Yes.
Just Googling it real quick.
They've modernized the design of it and like made much more complex tracks.
Oh, yeah.
But it's very much in the spirit of games like this and F-Zero.
It's a bit hard to tell what's going on because they really do have motion blur.
Yeah, they actually do have like per object motion blur going on.
One thing I will say is, I mean, old graphics in mind, I really like the aesthetic of all of the different tracks they did in this game. There's an underwater one. It looks real good. And it's not just real good because there's an underwater one. That's just the screenshot I happened to be looking at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I totally get you there. Like, the aesthetics of a lot of these tracks are super cool. Anyway, Episode 1 Racer. That was pretty good.
Oh, did I even get the name right? I even got the name right. I'm good.
You did. Okay, so the Star Wars game that I grew up on, my personal favorite Star Wars game was probably like, I think I talked about this on the show before even. It was Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, which was like an Age of Empires 2 clone.
Yeah?
It's based off of that engine. And it was a real-time strategy game, only with like Star Wars scenarios and races.
That's pretty cool. Oh, you just reminded me of another cool Star Wars game. This was, when it was the friend I had up the street who had this. I didn't have this. I have no idea what it was called. But it was a Star Wars Episode 1 base game. It came out after that. This is our childhoods, the prequel movies, right?
Yeah, basically.
But it was set on Naboo, and it was basically, I can't remember, you like put in all the different animal types and they'd like walk around and breed and get more, and you were like building an ecosystem. I had a lot of fun with it, but I have no idea what it was called.
Are you saying there's a Star Wars version of Spore somewhere out there?
Not quite, but I need to find out what it's called so I can Google it and find out like what it actually looked like. I'm sure I'll recognize it if I see it.
Huh. Used to be that Star Wars Starfighter game too. That was also around the time of Episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was it like opened on the Battle of Naboo.
Oh, this is it. It is Gungan Frontier Simulator.
What?
Yep.
I've literally never heard of Gungan Frontier Simulator.
I'm looking at it now, and yeah, there's like a food web view, and this is it. I had completely forgotten about this game.
Wow. Gungan Frontier. By Lucas Learning. This was an edu game?
It was teaching you about ecology.
There was a Star Wars edu game?
That I enjoyed as a child.
I don't know what to make of this information. Okay. All right. We got to move on from this.
Okay.
From Star Wars nonsense into maybe something a little bit more substantial. Like, I don't know, what you've been playing this week.
Any guesses after what I said last week? Last week. Yeah, last week.
If I said it's Battletech, obviously, but if be careful, because we can't say Battletech 3 times in a row, or a mecha will appear in the mirror and kill us.
I mean, that is canon in the Battletech universe.
Yes, definitely. You can't say Battletech 3 times into a mirror at midnight.
Just at midnight? Or like, you can't do it at midnight, but you also can't do it at other times?
I don't know if it is, like, I don't know how Beetlejuice works, because that's the reference I'm making here.
Okay.
I'm making a reference to the fact that you can't say Beetlejuice 3 times, or Beetlejuice will appear and kill you.
I was just thinking it was Bloody Mary, but sure.
Oh yeah, there is also Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary is like maybe Beetlejuice is a spin-off of Bloody Mary. Maybe Bloody Mary is a spin-off of Beetlejuice. Who's to say what the real answer is?
The real answer is Battletech.
The real answer is Battletech, obviously, yes.
Anyway, yeah.
Get killed by mechas in the mirror.
That is what I've been playing. I think I played a few hours of Monster Hunter, because they've got a new event quest for some Devil May Cry stuff. I did it with my brother, and it's really quite cool. They've got Devil May Cry music going. You fight 4 monsters in a row, and you can make Dante's outfit or get his badass magic sword as a charge blade, where you've got like a magic thing instead of a shield, and the sword actually transforms when you change modes. It's real badass. It looks like you're like a battle mage kind of thing. Like you're using magic while you're using the sword. It's real cool. But most of what I've played has been Battletech. I've been playing a lot of it. It's been my thing. Like get home, have dinner, play Battletech the rest of the evening. And it's been nice having a game that I look forward to getting home to playing. I've had games that I've enjoyed playing before, but it's been a little while since I had one that I was actually thinking about, I want to get home so I can play more of this. But it's really good. I've played a lot of it. I just last night got up to the first point where I see the heaviest class of Battletech. The Assault class. So it's in a story mission that I first saw them, so there were a bunch of them at once for story reasons. But it's real cool. It's a really nice sort of story generator. Like we've talked about several other games before, XCOM and I'm sure some other ones, in terms of how they can create player stories in a way that are really cool after the fact. Like I've had one a couple of nights ago where I was sent on a mission where I only had to kill one mech. It was an assassination mission. But I ran into trouble running into a group of lighter mechs before I got to my target. One of them, which was possibly my favorite mech to use, a Hunchback. It's a medium mech that has a huge cannon mounted into one of its side torsos. And it came around a corner shot one of my mechs and basically got a critical hit, blew up its ammo stores, and incapacitated the mech in one shot, just out of luck and a big fuck off weapon. So I was down to 3. Then my long range mech got hit in the leg, knocked down, hit a bunch more, and when it got up, the leg was destroyed, so it could only like limp away, so it couldn't get back to range. And I was on the back foot, and things were looking bad when a heavy mech showed up on like the cliff top overlooking this thing. It was my target. It was the thing I was there to kill, and it was like, shit, things are gonna go south real fast. But my best mech warrior, I told to use one of the morale abilities to take a called shot, where you get to pick a specific part of a battle mech to aim for, and there'll be a certain chance that you'll hit that pit. So it can be very useful, for example, if one of them has a part that's almost destroyed already and you want to guarantee or nearly guarantee it's going to be destroyed, so you can like blow off its primary weapon or knock it down so more mechs will be able to hit it before it can move or something.
Right.
I didn't have time for any of that shit. This was a heavy mech that hadn't taken any damage. So I said aim for the head, which always has a very low chance. I think it was a 5% chance because this particular character has got a bonus to called shots. But they fired their own massive cannon up at this cliff and hit it clean in the head, killing the pilot instantly and incapacitating the mech, while leaving the rest of it completely intact so I could salvage it after the mission. It was such a good feeling to turn it around like that. And honestly, this game is full of things like that. Sometimes things just go south. There's one story mission which I've found much harder than the others that I had to try like 4 times. Each time I'd lose. And because it's a story mission, when you lose, it's like quit the game or load an earlier save. I assume if you lose normal contracts, you'll just lose those people or battle mechs or salvage them. I don't know. It's the only mission I've actually failed. And then I'd go away and do some more, get some more powerful mechs and come back and try again. I think it took me like 4 attempts to actually get it. I could probably have used a different strategy to finish it more easily but less cleanly. I probably should have, but I'm happy that I got done with it properly eventually, even if I did have to fail a bunch of time and go in with prior knowledge. But this is just, the game is so good at creating these memorable stories. I've also had a bunch of fun customizing my mechs. I got one heavy mech which is described as its downside is that it's pretty light on weaponry, but it can move fairly quickly for a heavy mech and it's quite heavily armored. So I thought, fuck it, let's go all out. Take off all the weapons, put in some arm mods to give it extra melee damage, and put in a guy who's good at punching and good at running. And all the weapons are super close range. If you can hit them with that, you can punch them anyway. And it turns out to be super effective. This guy in his heavily armored mech runs out in front, everything tries to shoot at him, and then he punches something hard enough to kill that mech in one hit. Assuming he hits it in the center. Otherwise, he'll just like knock out its side torso, arm, and leg and knock it down. It's really good. So yeah, this game is good. The end.
That tracks.
Yeah, I'm loving it still. And like I said, I've only just seen the first assault mech, so there's a really impressive amount of mechs in the game. I'm still encountering new ones I've never seen before, and although I only started tracking my time playing by playing it through the GOG app recently, I've played over 24 hours of that game, and I think I played most of it before I started doing that. So I've probably played over 40 hours of this game. So, yeah, it's good fun.
Nice. My definite, like, I guess the game I'm excited to play when I get home right now, it's back to being Forza Horizon 3.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Racing games have been really good to you lately.
Racing games are always really good to me.
Are you going to get the Star Wars racing game and see if that's also good to you?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's really good.
If anything, I think the next racing game that I would get would be Project Cars 2.
I wonder if there's a photo mode in Racer. Probably not.
Certainly not in the old Episode 1 Racer.
No, I'm joking. There's not.
But there is photo modes in Forza and Project Cars, and I've talked about the Forza one specifically before because it's so powerful and like really, really well executed, and Just that game executes so well visually on so many levels. It's so much fun to play. Everything's really fun to drive, and I've had to start figuring out something a little different in that game.
Yeah.
Because what I've done is I've finally taken like basically the final leap that I could with it, and started taking off the last 2 assists I had on, which was just the automatic braking system, which reduces wheel lockup if you brake really, really hard, which makes it easier to power steer.
That's sort of
that, but
because that's a real thing, right? ABS. That's like when your wheel starts slipping while you're braking, they roll a little to get traction again, and then stop and then brake again, right?
yeah, basically. And it manages braking without actually letting your wheels lock up. Is basically what the ABS does. Meaning, if you brake really hard and suddenly your wheels will lock up and you'll be unable to turn in either direction.
Ah, okay.
So it's because I've turned that off. I've had to like really adjust how I'm handling my steering and start braking really early and managing a much cleaner racing line without like bumping into people or braking too early or too late and missing a corner. Like, I've really got to watch my stuff.
As a child who had played a bunch of Need for Speed, every time I'd see a little snip of like Formula One racing or something on the TV, I'd wonder, why don't they just hit each other?
The answer is because Formula One will break apart instantly.
Yeah, but like any car racing, I'd just be like, why don't they just hit each other? It was such a silly thing in retrospect now, just like thinking back. Because you say without bumping into each other, and I'm thinking, if I'm playing a racing game, bumping into each other is what I'm all about. It's bad.
I mean, if you want to do that, Burnout is that's your shit.
I know. Burnout's real fun with that.
Do you have Burnout on PC?
I think I've got Burnout Paradise.
Ooh.
I think.
Hey, we might have to
Yes,
do that
I do. I've got it. I've got it on Steam.
Huh. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, so Forza's become my thing. It's a good de-stress point for me, I feel like, because like I appreciate the sense of control that I have in those games, especially like driving from the cockpit perspective. It feels like you have a tremendous amount of control, and so it's a good feeling to have in a game in general, and then like I think I've been wanting a little bit more of that. I've been wanting an experience I felt like very in control of. And racing games have been good to me for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
You've just been playing racing against AI? I don't know if it has a multiplayer component actually, but racing games tend to have local. Actually, do they even tend to have local multiplayer? It's been a while since I played one.
Some do, some don't. It's less in style now since online multiplayer is so prevalent.
That's fair.
And so like a lot of games have like they're designed to accommodate that instead. Forza Horizon definitely does not have split screen. I believe Forza Motorsport might have it.
Okay.
But Horizon doesn't have the split screen, but it does have the ability to like do a fully online co-op campaign.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, yeah, you could play all of the career mode with a friend or with up to 4 friends. I think. So that's a cool feature.
Yeah, it is cool.
And the AI is quite interesting too because I think I've talked about this on the show before. But it's the Drivatar system, which is a bad mouthfeel to say Drivatar.
It's like when you're ordering at a McDonald's or similar, and you say the whole name of the branded whatever you're buying out loud.
Oh God!
It's like you just feel bad for giving into the bad branding.
That's true, but basically what that system does is it kind of analyzes your racing style in the background and as you go, it creates an AI that's based off of your personal racing style.
Oh no, so it would be crashing into me all the time.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, it takes a little bit, but it creates an AI that's based off of your personal racing style, and then populates other players' games with that.
That's interesting.
So when you're racing in the career mode events, what you're racing against is you're racing against these drivatars, these approximations of other players.
It's interesting because it's going to be like a
really fascinating system.
It's like a snapshot of the player population and how they drive.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting.
It means that no two races are the same either.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually really clever. Sorry,
there's so many smart design choices in Forza Horizon 3. Like I just love playing that game, and it's been my big one this week.
Nice.
I got another little one though that I've restarted. And that's Persona 5.
Still find it funny that I thought you had played Persona 5 because you were talking about Persona for so long after it came out, but you've just gone back to replaying the older ones.
Yeah, I had just gone back to replaying 4 because I started on 5 and then I felt guilty for not finishing 4.
So
because I bought a whole console for it.
Yeah. How is 5?
Well, not much has changed from the last time I talked about that, like probably a year and a bit ago. Persona 5 is good, for the most part. I think I've been spoiled on good writing in games lately.
With your Yakuza?
Because Persona 5's localization feels really, really off. Like, I've just come off of Yakuza 0, which is a game with spectacular writing and localization. Like, it's adapted into English pretty damn well. Where Persona 5, by comparison, it can feel really, really clunkily written.
And you think that's mostly the localization rather than the source writing?
Yeah, I totally believe it's the localization rather than the source writing. There was a whole site at one point around the launch of this game last year. I think it was like a month or so after the fact, where the direct translations and localizations were put under like scrutiny, and like the original script was fine. It was the localization that was just really truly subpar in the game, and like having again now just played Yakuza 0, I'm totally spoiled on how good that game was written. That said, Persona 5 is still mostly enjoyable once I can get past like, that was maybe a little awkward in terms of just how that sentence was structured.
Do you sometimes wish you could like swap around the order in which you played games so that you'd be ramping up the whole time?
I don't know. I feel like it's good to be in. I feel like it can be good to be in this position. Sure, I like it. It means that those those flaws are a little bit more glaring to me, but I don't think that matters because it reflects well on the other game as well.
True.
Like, and it's maybe not something that I would have noticed if I had played Persona 5 extensively first and then gone to Yakuza 0.
Well, so that's what I'm thinking, because I wonder sometimes if I'm in a similar situation, if I might sort of miss out on some of the enjoyment I would have had if I weren't comparing it to XYZ. It's part of the reason why I try not to read reviews before I play a game that I'm excited for, because if they point out some criticism I might not have noticed myself, I'll see it and not be able to unsee it. But I'm a very spoiler-averse, etc. person, so that might totally just be a me thing.
Yeah, I can't say that is the same experience for me.
Okay.
Like I'm not spoiler averse. I'm somewhat spoiler averse, but I don't mind like watching a trailer or
Yeah,
reading a review.
I mean,
Like I'm not spoiler a voice. Oh my god. Who am I? Like who? It's Bugs Bunny. That's who it.
Yeah, you don't take it to the extent that I take it to, which is kind of a ridiculous thing on my end. So.
Yeah, I'm a little bit less spoiler voice, Doc. What's up, Doc?
Oh, God.
Hey, you remember Bugs Bunny, everybody?
I do.
Aha! That was Mickey Mouse. Thank you for coming to my impression show. Doing a lot of that this evening. That's the extent of my impressions. I can just do like a little bit of Mickey. It's great, isn't it?
Very impressive.
Yeah, I'm definitely less spoiler averse than you are.
Yeah.
Though. Like I'll watch trailers, I'll read reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want a thing spoiled for me if I can avoid it, but like I don't like the level of spoiler that is in a review or trailer. I don't think is really notable. And I think I've talked as well about like when stuff is spoiled, I often don't really mind in the end anyway, because the end result is I still get to see the context of how they got there.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I learn like, oh, here's this big spoiler for this thing that you were looking forward to, it's like, okay, but how do we get there? What that question still interests me, and it's not ruined by seeing, those major plot details.
Yeah, I think a lot of my spoiler averseness stuff is griping about movie trailers that show the whole plot, or all the good jokes. Whereas for games, it really is more. I want to avoid seeing other people's criticism too much until I've made up my own mind on some things, because just sometimes it'll make me notice something that wouldn't have bothered me otherwise, but if I see it, it does. Obviously, if there are some things that eventually I would like to know that are criticisms of the game that I wouldn't have thought of, but a lot of gameplay or design stuff that is just some people don't like it and it doesn't bother me. I find it's nicer if I didn't know about it when I first play it. That's what it often comes down to for me.
Do you feel like it's bad to be bothered by something in a game?
I mean,
like,
obviously there are things that are worth being bothered about it. Like, I forget which Persona it was, 3 or 4 that you were playing.
4.
Yeah, like that stuff, that's worth being bothered about and might be worth being warned about if it's something you want to avoid. Whereas things that are more small gameplay things that you might not notice, and all they can do is just make you enjoy it a little less if you did notice it, then I think it's worth just not knowing. Sorry, that's really vague. I'm having trouble thinking of an example is the problem.
I think I've nailed it, actually.
Okay.
So what you're saying is, like, you'd rather not know about, I guess, mechanical criticisms, but rather narrative criticisms are more useful to you?
Yeah, still I'll tend to avoid them to start with just because they can involve spoilers, but they're definitely useful to know, and I will often end up seeking them out when I get a hint of them after I've played the game, or if it's one that I'm not expecting or planning to play. Whereas, the mechanical criticisms, sometimes they're useful if it's, for example, an accessibility thing that doesn't affect me, then it can be interesting to know about and good to know about. But if it's something that wouldn't bother me if I didn't know about it, and it's some people have noticed it and really don't like it, then I'm happy not knowing. If I were making games, it would be worth me knowing about it, so I could maybe avoid doing that. But if I'm just playing them and trying to enjoy them, I want to play them the way I enjoy them the most.
It's a fair go. What would you like to talk about next? We've covered what we've played this week.
I was looking at Steam before the show, and I spotted a game in the top sellers list that is completely snuck up on me, but looks kind of cool, which is, I'm looking up the name again, Frostpunk, like
Yes.
city building type of game. And I completely not heard of this game, didn't even know it was being made or when it was coming out or anything. But it looks kind of neat. Am I the only person who didn't know about this? Did you know about this?
I've definitely seen it come up more than once.
Okay.
Over the past few weeks. I'm surprised that it was. I mentioned this prior to our show as well. I was surprised that it wasn't on your radar.
Yeah, because it looks like the sort of game I probably enjoy. Yeah, I think Cities Skylines was kind of the first city building game I've really played. I mean, I probably played one of the old SimCity games when I was young, and I think I just didn't understand it. All I did was unleash the aliens and make earthquakes happen, which isn't that productive, it turns out. But Cities Skylines, I've talked before how it's been an enjoyable game, but I think for very different reasons to what Frostpunk looks like it is, because I've said City Skylines is nice because it's like a pressure-free environment where that does not look like the case here. It's from the same people as This War of Mine, which was a tough game to play just because of the type of stories it tried to tell mainly. But it looks like this has got a similar but more fantastical vibe to it. It's like a post-apocalyptic Ice Age Earth where you're the last city and you have to keep everyone alive, and it looks like heat is a big thing as well as compromise, and it's narratively and in terms of its feel very different to the only other city building game I've played. But yeah, it looks really interesting. Honestly, I'm a fan of the sort of radial structure to the city that I'm seeing in all the screenshots and trailers. I think for one, hey, that makes sense if heat is really important and your main heat source is in the center to build things out radially. But two, it looks cool.
No, like it super looks cool as shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd be strictly my thing. It definitely looks like it has some interesting narrative potential though. Even in just the screenshots that I'm looking through here, like I'm seeing stuff around like various laws that you can sign in related to like even things like propaganda, which increases hope, and like things that affect discontent. Discontent and hope seem to be the two main factors that you're influencing here as well.
Yeah, this definitely seems like it's a dystopian tale.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah,
I don't know, it seems like it could be potentially a really, really interesting game.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
That's what it
I
reminds
don't
me
know if it'd
of.
be my thing. Oh, what does it remind
The
you?
aesthetic reminds me of Mad Max.
Like an Icy Mad Max?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like-
I could see like an Icy Mad Max.
Yeah. It's got a similar sort of post-apocalyptic vibe as well. But particularly looking at the main furnace in the center, I think.
Got that like black and red kind
Yeah.
of fascist vibe too,
Yeah.
though, is the other side of things.
Yeah. But yeah, that's something that just popped up and I hadn't seen it coming, but it looks cool. I might pick that up at some point. It's relatively inexpensive for a new release, what looks like a AAA game. It's 37 New Zealand dollars, not like 80 or something. So that's one for
It's
me to watch.
definitely not AAA. It's
Oh,
definitely
okay.
indie, but
Okay,
it's got
sorry.
like,
I was meaning like the level it looks like, if that makes sense.
AAA production values
Yeah.
or AAA visuals kind of.
Yeah, like it
situation.
looks good. Like that.
Yeah, it does look good. It's a Frostpunk is a good looking game. Not AAA, but like still looks good.
Okay, I misused that terminology. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. You know, I kind of want to shift into like talking about action RPGs and this and this genre as well, but like I don't have a lot new to say right now. Like I've only played a couple hours of Grim Dawn lately.
Oh, is that the one you're thinking of? So the sort of clicker action RPGs?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking of that sort of style.
Because immediately when you said action RPGs, my brain, which is on the Battletech universe, jumped into the old MechWarrior games. I actually went back last night and watched the opening trailers for MechWarriors 2, 3, and 4, and I watched a little bit of gameplay, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw how bad MechWarrior 2 looked visually, because, me as an 8-year-old or whatever remembered it looking amazing, but it really does not look amazing now. It's kind of funny. I played a lot of MechWarrior 4 when I eventually got it, and the big thing I remember about the manual of that. Sorry, you've just sent me off on this tangent just because you said the words action RPG. I don't even know if it's the right genre for this, but it had the most amazing physical manual. It wasn't, like now you get the 2-page thing that is like, hey.
Oh no, I remember you talking about this manual.
The in-world manual where it like described all the mech specifications.
It had the illustrations. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that.
Okay, I've probably gone on about it before.
You have definitely talked about this on the show before.
Yeah, okay. It's very, very good. You'd probably really struggle to find a copy now. I wonder if I still have mine. Should look, it'll be at my parents' place. I think I even know where it might be.
If you find it, we can post photos
of
it to the
definitely
to the Twitter.
I'll try to remember when I next go around.
I think that'd be a cool little thing to share.
That would be cool. But yeah, I miss physical manuals. As much as I never buy physical copies of games anymore, I suppose. No, even the last PlayStation game I bought digitally. Honestly, if they had really nice physical manuals, I'd consider it.
If you can manage to find a physical copy of Shovel Knight, which is like a retro-inspired platforming game, Shovel Knight comes with a physical manual.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, like it comes with a proper manual that you can go ahead and look through. And physical copies also come with the soundtrack too, which is super cool.
That's cool. Actually, it reminds me, the Final Fantasy 13 has a brief manual with a huge spoiler in it that they just have as like mentioning a gameplay thing that happens later on, but it's a huge story spoiler that you do this stuff that leads to that, and it's very clear from what they say in there. So I looked at that before I played the game and was really, really annoyed. Because I want to look at manuals and see good stuff, but I don't want to look at manuals and have the game spoiled for me. That can be kind of a hard thing when there's like a gameplay thing that comes in later on that you want to talk about in the manual and show a screenshot of, but then there's like, oh look, the bad guy's in your party or something like that, you know?
Great job, Square Enix, on writing that particular thing.
I'd mentioned what the spoiler was, but it's a spoiler. So, yeah. But, you know how I've talked about how I love in-game UI that's done well?
Yeah.
In-world manuals, honestly, it's the same thing. I love that shit. Like, a physical manual that's set in the world, so good.
You have got to play Ni no Kuni.
Yeah?
Ni no Kuni has an excellent in-game manual and like an excellent in-game lore interface. I think I've talked about it on the show before.
So when I say in-game manual, it's not quite the right terminology. I mean like a physical manual, but it's as though it existed in the universe of the game.
Right, yeah.
In-game manuals are nice, but that stuff is really, really cool. It's kind of like, when a game will come with a map that's well made and looks like it could be a prop from the world. That's really cool as well. But manuals, right. I think, are even cooler.
Manuals are a bit of a relic now.
They are. It's sad. They have been for a while.
It's a shame.
Yeah, they have been for a while. I'm definitely not the first person to talk about that.
And you won't be the last.
No.
I think anybody with nostalgia for like the PlayStation 2 or GameCube or any of these like older systems, like I think as long as those people are alive and playing video games, they'll probably have that nostalgia. I won't pretend that I know why that has been cut from games since.
I mean, I can definitely understand in terms of digital releases, but in terms of physical releases, that's still the same.
I imagine it's just got to be print costs.
I suppose. I mean, you've also got to actually design the whole thing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I have wondered though, like with this Final Fantasy 13 spoiler in the manual, is it like when the people who do the trailer for a movie don't care about spoilers? They just have a job to do to get people to watch the movie. The manual people, they don't care about spoilers. They just need to explain the stuff that needs to go in the manual. So put in all the spoilers, doesn't matter.
You can put in that Final Fantasy 13 spoiler right in the manual. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Who reviews the manual anyway? Everyone, all the people who you work with know about this.
No, like maybe that's a contributing factor to why manuals kind of went away. Who reads the manual?
I'm putting my hand up, but you can't see it.
Yeah, I know. I used to. Okay, like the specific nostalgia has been talked to death, but like the specific nostalgia of like, you know, you've just gotten a video game and you're riding home in the car and you've opened up the box excitedly and you're just reading the manual in the back of the car.
Yes.
And you're like imagining how good the game is going to be.
I've had that feeling so many times. And then over the years, it gradually turned into, oh, there's nothing interesting in here. I'm already done with it. Damn it, we need to get home faster. Yeah.
I remember...
Holy shit, that was... The way you said it, that was perfectly my experience as well.
I mean, it was my experience too, and I think it was a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, like, I think that specific aspect of the nostalgia of the physical manual has been talked to death. It's because that was the experience for so many people. It was just reading the manual in the back of the car. That was the thing.
Yeah.
I had some slightly different ones, especially around like special editions of games. Like I got a special edition Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and that came with a copy of the soundtrack. And I remember listening to that on the way home, and that was the most exciting thing for me because I loved soundtracks, and I still do.
Nice. I remember some games, like, I'm trying to think of which one in particular, but it's not coming to me, where they had a physical disc that you used to play at a CD, but also if you put the CD in your stereo, it would play the soundtrack.
I think a lot of old PC games, maybe, or even PS2 games might have done that.
Yeah, it would have been PC in my case, because I didn't have a PS2 until after PS3 came out. But yeah, that was cool.
I think you used to be able to have like a file system that the PC could access, and you could also have a file system that the PlayStation could access.
Or the stereo in this case would be whatever standardized
audio
like, thing.
It was just like a generic part of that disc that was like, oh, this is the CD, this is the music part. Those are kind of neat.
Yeah, it's harder to do now.
Back. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the only real difference now is like most games just ship on Blu-rays.
Well, most games I buy don't ship on anything. They ship on bits.
Right. Okay. Rephrasing. Physical games, especially for consoles, just come on Blu-rays.
Yeah.
They have, at least across the PlayStation, Xbox used DVDs in the 360 era, and I think use Blu-rays this generation.
I have no idea.
It's because games have gotten so much goddamn bigger.
It's true, they have.
They're huge.
Every now and then I buy a really nice looking pixel art game on Steam and I download it and it's like 100 megabytes. Or less.
It's like, oh, where do we go?
It takes like 10 seconds to download. It's ridiculous.
Meanwhile, you want to grab the latest AAA release, it's like 100 gigs.
Yep.
Like, I see.
To move my computer next to the router. Speed things up.
In your case, literally, because your signal is just so weak in your goddamn room.
Well, it's upstairs and the router's downstairs. Someday, I will do something about that. When I organize stuff, which happens all the time for real.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of another thing that I can talk about.
Yeah.
You hear about Mortal Kombat?
Has something happened?
Oh no, nothing's happened. But I other than the fact that I played it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I played
Mortal Kombat.
I think I once played a little bit of a Mortal Kombat game, but that's the end of my experience with it.
So, Mortal Kombat is an ultra-violent 2D fighter game, kind of similar to like if Street Fighter had ultra-violence, it would be this.
This is like Sniper Elite kind of X-ray bone-breaking shit, right?
Yep, that's exactly that kind of shit.
I think in the brief stint where I played a little bit of it, I got my ass kicked by an AI who then pulled my eyeballs out or something.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was unexpected.
Yeah, no, it's pretty gruesome. But I had a good time playing it against Ash, despite how frustrated I definitely got.
Were you winning or was she winning?
Oh, she kicked my ass. I'm dog shit at fighting games. I kind of always have been. So, Mortal Kombat X was a bit of an experience, considering I had no experience. I like I said, I had a good time. I figured out some stuff eventually, and won a few matches. Fighting games are kind of wild. I always feel like I'm dropping inputs and I feel like fighting games tend to be really, really imprecise for me, and it's mostly because I'm bound to, whatever stock controller exists for a given console. I don't have a fight pad or anything like that, as much as I would love.
What's a fight
pad? Typically, it'll be a controller that's got an old arcade joystick and arcade-style buttons.
What's the advantage of those?
The joystick is more durable than the standard little thumbsticks.
Because people get mad when they play fighting games.
Well, more just you have to react very, very quickly to do certain things.
So you tend to move it quite hard.
And you use your whole hand is the other advantage. You're using your whole hand to control a joystick. And then the arcade buttons are low resistance. They go down really fast. They have a satisfying click. And that's why a lot of people use those. They use fight pads rather than using the standard PS4 or Xbox controllers.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing. It's part of that is also to simulate the experience of playing it in an arcade cabinet.
Yeah.
That's why they use actual arcade style hardware.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're using that big joystick and you're using those big buttons. Not only because they're durable and relatively precise, but because they make that experience. And it's, again, that nostalgia of going to a physical arcade and playing this. You could play Mortal Kombat, you could play Street Fighter in the arcades against your friends.
It's interesting. That's
still the best way to play it, turns out.
It's an area of gaming where I completely missed out on the nostalgia because it's not something I did. I think there's when I was in high school, there was an arcade thing in a cinema nearby, but I never really played the games.
What did you normally do there then?
Well, it was near the cinema, so I saw it and would hang out there while waiting for a movie.
Okay. Just didn't really play anything?
My closest link probably to playing those games was watching The Last Starfighter as a kid. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
It's probably terrible, but you should watch it.
Okay. That's a strong recommendation.
No, I'm saying that because I haven't seen it in so damn long. It's a 1984 movie. But it was when I was like 5. It was really cool. I don't know how old I was. I was young, but yeah. I don't want to say too much because you haven't seen it, and if you do, it'd be cool to not know too much. But it has stuff with arcade games in it.
Okay.
Just being as vague as I can.
Okay. All right. Well, shall we wrap up?
Sure.
Cool. What would you say that you are looking forward to playing this upcoming week?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna play Battletech right after we record, so probably that.
Uh-huh.
I might end up doing more Monster Hunter. At the moment, I'm kind of at the point where if the people that I play it with are playing it, I'll jump on and play it, but I don't tend to go on otherwise at the moment.
Don't tend to seek it out.
Yeah, I mean, when there's, I mean, if they do another new monster or something, I will definitely get on and try that out.
Sure.
But unless someone else is on that I'm going to play with, or I just get a hankering to kill some monsters, then I won't jump on. Yeah, but yeah, I'm still excited about Battletech. I'm still seeing new content in that, so I'm definitely going to play a lot more of that, I think. Though I need to like ration myself a bit so I don't end up going the whole week by and I haven't planned anything for the D&D session I run. That will be bad.
Gotcha.
How about you?
I'm looking forward to spending some chill time with Persona 5. Looking forward to just kind of lying back and relaxing with that.
Nice.
And digging in, I think, depending on how things would go with Forza Horizon, and getting used to this whole new set of mechanics that I've opened up for myself, I might start also looking into Project Cars and getting around to that game.
Is that the one with the miniature US?
No, that is The Crew.
Thank you.
Project Cars is just, it's focused on purely the motorsport aspect of racing rather than like Forza mixes street.
Right.
Or Forza's mostly entirely street with predefined courses. Rather than like circuits and circuits that exist in the real world specifically.
Right.
Which Grid and Project Cars focus on, with Project Cars leaning in a little bit more to the simulation side of things.
It's a game for real world car geeks.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, depending on how things go in Forza, I might dig into that this week.
Nice.
Yeah. Maybe God of War or Dad of Boy.
Oh yeah, that's something that I don't know. I feel like I'll get that at some point. I've heard it's real good. I've not looked because my ridiculous spoiler stuff. But I've heard it's real good.
Buy or borrow our copy.
Ooh.
I think we got a copy sitting around.
I mean, I'll let you play it first.
I mean, Ash is finished with it, and I probably won't get around to it for a while, so.
That was fast. Didn't it only come out like this week?
No, it came out like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, you can tell how closely I've been following this. But yeah, I've heard it's really good. I'm sure I'll play that at some point. Thanks for the offer on that.
Yeah, Ash beat it in about like 30 hours or so.
Okay.
It's quite an extensive game from what she has told me.
I remember seeing when it was teased at the last E3, I think it was, and being really impressed with how it looked. Especially since, as I've mentioned on the show before, the other God of War games haven't really clicked with me, but the way they've redone this one from a different angle looks like it's much more my thing.
Yeah, exactly. So the main story, if you wanted to just do that, will take you about 18 hours.
Okay.
And the main story with extras will take you about 30 hours on average.
Cool. That's pretty good length.
Yeah, that's really solid. Like, and if you wanted to go all out, it's 50 hours. Like, there's a lot of game there.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. So those are our games. That's our show. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of PauseCast. If you liked what you heard and would like to support the show, there's a few ways you can do that. First and foremost, you can rate or review the show on your platform of choice. Second, you could donate to us by one of two means. First, you can give us a one-time donation by going to bit.ly/pausecoffee. And that will take you to our coffee page where you can throw us a one-time donation. And if you'd like to support us month to month, we have our Patreon, which includes some bonuses on Discord, and early access to bonus content when we make it. You can contribute to Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and every dollar goes towards helping us out. So if you support the show through there, thank you very much. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, I'm going to try this again. Thank you very much for the support of our current patrons. Sammy, Mary, Para, Dove, Cory Bat, Residoke, Ash Yee, Laminated Moth, and PD. Thank you all for your continued support.
Thank you.
Mark,
yeah,
you can be found online. Where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter at Honest Universe, and I write a blog as well, though not about video games, at honestuniverse.com.
And you can find me on Twitter at TealQT or by visiting bird.school. You can find me streaming as well at MaximumGun.org. Thank you as well to Leon for the use of our theme song Honey Milk Island. You can find Leon's music and download some of it for free at soundcloud.com/LEYAWN. Alright, that is officially going to do it for us. Thank you so much for putting up with a slightly late recording of the show, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.